tours round in those days. You'd go and do a tour of Ireland. And you realise that there's always two sides to every story, you know. There's no right, there's no wrong, but standing in the middle of that is a British soldier who's just exactly the same. He's just a frightened 17, 18, 19-year-old kid who's standing in between them. And the fear builds up then, and you realise that you're standing in this line of hate. Everybody just seems to hate you. But it's a feeling that you're completely, you've got no control over the situation anymore. You know, there's all these people running about you, I don't know, you don't know there's a sniper there or somebody with a grenade launcher over there, and you're literally, and you know that these aren't things that could happen because these are things that are happening, you know. I can't remember the statistic now on how many soldiers lost their lives in Northern Ireland, but it was real. You know, the threat wasn't a potential threat, it was pretty much a real threat, especially in the part that we were in.
We went up the Normandy coast. I was on the frigate Rowley, and the battleship was by, I softened up all the Normandy coast, shelling. And see when they fired that, see those above your head, it was like an express train. Oh, the noise of the shells passing overhead. Our captain, he says, and we see a torpedo going to the battleship that was by, we'll nip in and take a torpedo. Oh, that's the truth.
We got married when I was 19 because George was going to Singapore and he wanted me to go with him. Posted at Ritchie Camp at Kirknewton. So then we got a house there before he went to Ireland for the second time. And what happened, happened.
Just about every night we would barricade the door because there was people who run up and down the corridors kicking doors in. And that was the first time I ever thought about ending my life. Because I thought, how did I get to this position? A couple of years ago, I was marching down the Mall with my red tunic. Crowds were waving at us. I'd marched down to the back of Buckingham Palace to get our Falklands medals, with everybody telling us how we put the grape back in Britain. And I thought, how did I get here? With no money, with no job, with no self-respect left.
And he sustained brain damage because it was like a £500 bomb landmine in the road, and they had exploded it for the south, and it blew the armoured car that he was in into a field. George was unconscious for like 6 months before he started coming to a wee bit.
See, we were a tank landing craft, and they went from the sea onto the beach, and saw them disembarking from the landing craft onto the beach. Some of them never made it. I'll never leave me. I'll always remember it.
But at the end of the day, it's a human being that's in each of the conflicts. It doesn't matter whether it was 1945, 1982 or 1994. It's irrelevant. It's a story of a human being who's been put into that situation, which most of us hope that we'll never find ourselves, and then being brought back home. And then it's how you deal with that person when they get brought home is really what counts. You can bring them home and forget about them and just hope that everything's okay with them, or you can bring them home and make sure there's facilities, organisations in place, and that there's correct signposting so that people know where they can go. And that's where organisations like Erskine now, that's where it comes into its own.
Well, while there's military conflict, there's always going to be a need for places like this, where they can recuperate and get themselves back to what they were. I mean, some of them will never, ever go back to what they were before they joined the forces. But they need places like this. Erskine's the best care you're going to get. Once they've done their duty for their country and their people, their country, they should be getting looked after. They should be getting looked after.